Hello everyone, I've been a painting contractor for 25 years and the goal of this channel is to help make painting at home simple. For all of you do-it-yourselfers out there looking for professional results and wanting to save some money. So thanks for watching and please like and subscribe. We want to help as many people as we can. Thanks again. Hello everyone, we're coming at you today in the bathroom of the house. It's one of our next projects and I want to walk you through it step by step, how to do it the right way from start to finish. We're going to paint all of the trim in this space, the doors, the base. We're going to paint all of the walls and the ceilings as well. And we're going to show you the right products to use for this moisture environment. And we're going to start by cleaning all of this trim and all of the doors. That's the very first thing we need to do. The trim paint that was used 9 years ago was a latex-based acrylic water-based paint. So that's good we have that information because we're going to be applying a fresh coat of the same type of paint over it. And we need to clean it first because there's a sheen on it. And over the years with hairspray and moisture and there's candle scents and things that are on the trim that we need to clean off. And the most important reason is because it takes us to our next step. So we're going to go from one step to the next here, and we're going to show you how we do it. All right, we're checking back in. We are going to start right here on this part of the bathroom. As you can see, we have a couple of windows, we have some base, we have some doors. We're going to use our product right here. It's Crud Cutter. It's a cleaner and it's a deglosser. This is going to give us our first step in the process to take us to the next step. We want to clean the trim and we want to cut into the gloss a little bit because we want our paint to bond to the surface of what we're painting. So we have another video on this. Go check it out. It'll explain a lot about how we use that product and what we use it for. You take it right out of the bottle. You don't need to mix it with anything special. And then we take a Scotch pad here and we're just going to kind of get it in there, wring it out, okay? And then we're going to come over here and you can see on this door, I mean, we've got some things on here. This door is a little dirty. We've got dust up in here. So this is going to be what we do. We're going to take it and you don't need to saturate it to the point where it's dripping all over you. We want to work the product into the paint film and we really want to get everything clean as best as we can. So you can see, I'll probably take about 15 minutes to go around and clean the doors and the trim. And I'll just keep kind of dipping it in there and wringing it out. And we'll just get the product on there and then just work it around. And make sure you do a little scrubbing in the process. That's why these Scotch pads work really great. So I'm going to show you how we do this on this one particular door. And then I'm going to go around and I'm going to clean all of the trim. And then I'm going to check back in with you. So you get the idea. What we want to do is clean and wipe and degloss. And so what we do is we've got the top half of this door. We're going to go ahead and do the trim. We take a separate rag that we have here that's a little damp with the product to begin with, and we're going to wipe off the excess. And we're going to let this product, the Crud Cutter, dry for about a half an hour. We can come back and do our next step after 20 minutes if we want. And we have as long as a week after we clean it with this product to come back and paint. So check out that video on that, and then we just want to wipe off the excess. So we're going to come here. And I did the top half of this door for demonstration, but typically what I would do is clean an entire area. Let this product sit on there for a little bit, and then wipe it off with the excess. And we already have this rag is already a little damp itself from the product. All right, so we're going to go through this bathroom. We're going to clean all the trim, and then we're going to check back in. All right, guys, here we are. We're at the next step. We've gone through this whole bathroom. We cleaned it. really good with that product. We wiped everything down, and what I like to do after it's dried and we're ready to come back to the next step is I take a clean rag, and we've already wiped it all down, but I just kind of like to go over it in case there's any fine film or anything left and remaining on the woodwork. So we've already done that. And now what I want to show you is the next important step. We got to do things the right way in order to make this work. We want to repaint our trim, and we need it to stick, and we need it to bond. So whether you're painting your trim in your house, in your bedroom, in your kitchen, it doesn't matter. You want to follow these steps. I've got a piece of 220 grit sandpaper, and I have a tack rag. Tack rag is something that's got some stickiness to it, and it collects and picks up the dust. So what we want to do is we want to just do a fine sand. We're going to do it real lightly, and we're going to go up and down and follow all the patterns of the door and the trim. And then I'm going to show you how I do it, and then we're going to take a break. I'm going to sand all the rest of the trim in this area, and we'll check back in for the next step. So basically, I'm just going over each panel real evenly. There's not creating a lot of dust or anything. We cleaned it really well, so we want to go over every spot of the door. And I just kind of take it from top to bottom. I'm going real light. I don't need to sand the paint off. Just want to take it and I want to give the paint an opportunity to bond. So I just go over it, and I can see that it's sanding down real nice and it's not creating a lot of dust. So I'm just going to do this across the whole door and then the casing, and I make sure that I get a nice even sand, that I'm sanding everything. Okay, so I go through the top all the way down, and then I'll come back out. And you can sand it in any order you want. You can do the top half of the door, and then the bottom half. But what's left is a fine film, and that's when we're going to come back once we've sanded the whole door or all of the casing. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to wipe it nice and clean with our tack rag. And I like to just cover every surface that I've sanded with it, because it takes all the fine dust off, and it's going to get us ready to take our next step. And what you'll notice with a tack rag is you want to maneuver it and open it up and find sticky parts to come back with as you move through. These are real cheap. You can pick them up for a couple bucks, and you can use it for this whole bathroom. Okay? So then after we've sanded the door, all the trim, we've used our tack rag, we want to look for imperfections. I can already tell that in this bathroom, these miter joints right here, there's a slight crack that's formed over the years. So what we want to do is we want to fill the crack with some caulk. And we'll take some caulk and we'll real lightly put that into the joint. If I see a gouge or anything that's an imperfection on the trim, we'll take some spackle and we'll fill that and sand that down. We've got other great videos that walks you through spackling and sanding and caulking. So we'll check back in a little bit for the next step. All right, here we are checking back in. We're at the next phase. All of our trim has been cleaned. It's all been sanded and wiped down with a tack rag, and now we've begun the masking process. So I want you to see what we're doing here is using frog tape, 1 inch. It's got edge block technology in it. This stuff is great. I use this tape for everything. When we pull the tape up, we're not going to have paint that snuck underneath or was leaking into where we don't want it to be. So we have taped off our hinges on this door. We're going to be working on this part of the trim and this side of the door for this example. I want you to see that I have a masker here, and we go ahead and we tape our border with the green frog tape all the way around on the floor and on the casing, and then we come back over it with a masker for extra protection for any kind of drip or splatter, and then of course we have our drop cloth down. So once we get to the point where we're ready to actually start painting this door and the trim, we're going to go and move into the windows, and I just started taping along that side right there because that's a vinyl window. So we're going to tape that whole window off when we get to that and paint that. But for this example right here, this is the product that we're using. It's by Sherwin-Williams and it's called Pro Classic, and it's a satin finish. So we're going to use this product today, and what I like about it is it lays down really nice. You can brush and brush and brush this, and it'll lay down. You won't see brush marks, and so it's going to be a good option for us today. And what we're going to do is we're going to do 1 to 2 coats as needed. So we'll probably put 2 coats on the doors. Maybe we'll do 1 on the casing. We're going to see how everything looks. The trim was in pretty good shape to begin with. So we use this brush right here by Purdy when we're brushing. And it's a medium bristle stiffness, and it's got the black bristles instead of the blue. It's really smooth and soft. And we're going to lay this off real nice, and I'm going to show you how we go about painting this in different stages. We're also going to have an empty cut pot here, and inside we're going to have a rolling grid, and then we're going to have a roller frame, a 4-inch roller frame by Wooster, and we're going to have a 4-inch Wooster 1/4-inch nap. It's real thin nap, and it's got fuzz on the end too, which I like, and it's real. It's a really good roller. We use a lot of these. So this is kind of what we're going to use as we get started. I also have yellow frog tape, and you're going to see why here in a second. It's really delicate, and so we can stick it on. It's real thin, and it's something that we use after we've painted something and it's fresh paint that's dried for a little while. We can lightly put this on there and peel it off without pulling paint off. So we'll get this started, and I'll show you my method here in a second. Just going to go ahead and pour this whole quart inside. Okay, and this will be my cut pot. And then right now, before I get going, we're going to start with this top piece of the casing. What I like to do is I go around in a room or in a space and I paint all of the tops first, because we're going to put tape here and give us a clean line. We don't want the paint to flash. When we're done painting this trim and this door, we want it to all look uniform. We don't want parts of it to look dull and other parts to be too shiny or dry. We want to keep it wet and have it all dry, nice and uniform. And so we do certain things to accomplish that. What we do first then is we'll take the yellow tape, the frog tape, and we'll follow the miter line. Now in this situation, your trim, everyone's trim is going to be different. This is a flat stock piece of trim with a back band. Some trim is just flat, some has a profile. So we use different methods depending on it. Now in this situation, the miter, it goes down on an angle. And what I like to do is follow that angle with my yellow frog tape on both sides, right there. And when I come and brush across the top, I can let my paintbrush go into the tape, and it'll give it a nice even line all the way across. Because what I don't want to do is I don't want to have paint on this part or this part, because it'll dry and it'll flash and it won't look even. So when I put the yellow tape on first, I can bring the brush all the way across that line. And then once I paint it, I'm going to pull it off right away. Okay, so here we go. I've got my paint, I got my brush. I'm not going to roll this for the purpose of this example. You can roll this with the roller, but what's going to happen is you're going to use your brush so much that you could have just brushed the whole thing. So I just get my brush going. I kind of take it back and forth to make sure it's not dripping, and I start right here at this bottom first. Okay, I'm just going to get it all the way across on the bottom. I'm not doing inside this jam. I'm just taking the bottom piece of this trim, and I don't want to hit the door. I just want to start at the top here and get just that underside. Okay, and then I'm going to come back here and lay it off. Okay, now I'm going to hit the top. And I'm going to put a good amount on my brush. And I'm going to break it right there. And I'm gonna go and start, and see what I like to do is I like to come back onto the tape, and then I can really get a lot of paint on here, and I kind of go back and forth. I don't care about running the paint off right away. I just want to get a lot on there. So you can see I'm not really running it out. I'm just making sure I get paint on there from left to right. Okay, and I can see I'm at the end. Okay, now that I've got all the paint on, now I want to come back and lay it off. Left and right, nice and soft. Nice and soft. You don't have to push hard. And just lay it off left and right while it's still wet. We want to make sure we turn the heat down in the house because we want our trim paint to stay wet longer. I'll just come back under here. And this is a good product because it's going to lay down and you're not going to see any brush lines. Okay? So, that top piece is done. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to let the top dry. I'm going to pull off my tape. And what I have is a nice clean break. I don't have paint build up here. I was able to go over to the left and over to the right, and I have a nice clean break right there. Now I'm going to go over to the tops of all the other casings, and I'm going to do the tops all the way around of every door and window casing. While that's drying, all the tops, I'm going to start working on the door. And when this is dry, in about an hour after I've circled around and I've painted the doors, I'm going to come back with my yellow tape, and I'm going to really lightly stick it to the surface on this side. And then I'm going to do this side coming down, and I'm going to run it up to the top, and then I'm going to really softly pull this off. And because we cleaned it so well, the paint's going to already start to dry and bond, and that's how we do it when we're painting trim by hand. So we'll give you an example with the roller, and we'll check back in. All right guys, here we are now on the door. We are going to do an example, and you can see I've put my yellow tape on the left and right sides. Same thing as the door casing. We want to create nice straight lines when we're doing a door by hand. So you can see I'm going to start with the top and work the whole middle, and then I'm going to pull the tape off and do the sides after it's dried. Okay, so this is kind of how we do this. The first thing I like to do is come across the top underneath, and I'll get this whole edge right there. Okay, and then I'm going to kind of work the edges of the panel. Okay, and I've got a rag, so first I come down the edges. Okay, and then I take my rag and I wipe the face in case there's any paint on there. I get it off right away. All right, now I'll do this side. Okay, and I'm going to wipe it in case there's anything on there. And I'll do the bottom. Okay, now that I've done all of the edges and I've wiped it, now I'm going to cut in this border right here like this. All right. I'll come over here. All right. And I'll show you what I'm going to do. I'm just getting it cut in. It doesn't need to be laid off. Just keep it in the square. You want to keep it wet. And once you have it all laid off, all right, now we're going to take our roller. We're going to dip it in there. Okay. And we're going to just come out without any drips on it and slowly get paint on there. And then I'll work from side to side. We got to get paint on there. And we just keep rolling it off the grid. Make sure it's not dripping. Okay, and then we're gonna get, once the paint is all on there, then we're gonna come back and lay it all off smooth. Okay, so we don't wanna leave any hard lines. We don't wanna see that when we do this. All right, so now that I've got my paint on here, Now I want to lay it all off, nice and smooth. I want to go to the top and the bottom, left to right, and I want to cover my cut lines and get close to the edge, okay? And I like to go back and forth a couple times, okay? And then we see that it's all laying down. It's really smooth. All right, that whole panel is done. We've cut it around all the edges. We're gonna wipe the sides when we get paint on them. And now, since I did this right here, I'm gonna come and go this way now. I'm gonna paint this top panel, but I'm gonna start by going like this. Okay, I'm gonna get just enough paint on it. Then I'm going to turn it this way, and I'm going to roll it out. Okay? Now there's my example of how I went from left to right. I was able to go over the tape, and that's going to give us a nice clean line, and it's going to look visually uniform. It's going to look good all the way across. And now I'll do this next one down here. We'll just keep this system going. Come under here. Okay. Paint the edge. Okay. Got my rag. Wipe. Wipe. All right, once I get the panel all done, then I'm gonna go over to the other side, the other panel. Okay. Okay, we're just working on the panel now. I'm going to do the border. We want to kind of move at a decent pace because you want it to stay wet. We're not using any additives in our paint. No Floetrol, no extenders, not today. All right. Now that we've got the paint in there, we don't need to lay off the brush lines. We can just get the paint in the middle and then use the roller. Start in the middle and work your way out to the sides. Okay? All right. Now we're just going to go over it several times and smooth it all out. We get real close to the edge, okay, and then we just want to go left to right. So we'll go this way, and this way, and then I turn the roller and I get real close this way, come back down. Okay, this hooks right in there like that. I like to hold on to my brush and this at the same time. And then I'll come back and I'll wipe the border in case there's any paint on it. And we are always keeping every section clean as we go. And so now we've done the top, the middle, that panel. We're going to do this panel, and then we're going to paint this and the bottom in that order. So let's work through this. once I get paint on here and it's not dripping, I want to start like this, okay, and get it all on there. Then I'm going to turn it and go this way. And I can work down into this section and get paint on that because I'm going to paint that next. That's why it doesn't matter. There's no tape on that. Okay, go one way. All right, now I'm going to do this panel right here. Same thing. I'm going to go like this and get the paint off. And then I'm going to go up and down, working from left to right. And I'll stop just short of that panel for now. This paint is still wet, so what's nice is I can do this. Once I feel like it's all even, I can come back into this section and lay it off that way. And then I can come up this way. And I can go back and forth a couple of times until it's all laid down nice. And now I'm going to do the final panel down here. And I always do my last pass with the roller going the same way. Okay, so that's it. That right there is how we do this. We're going to pull that. That. Okay. This is the way to paint a door. Mixture, we use a brush, we use a roller, we do panels, and then we do top to bottom and we do the middles. You can see these nice clean lines. There's not a lot of paint gummed up on the side because we didn't go over it. And now we can do this panel when this is dry. So in this example, we did the top of this casing up here, okay? And we did the door down here. We're going to let it dry. We're going to work ourselves back to the other sections of all the other doors and windows, and then we're going to circle back and finish up with the two sides. Okay, we are checking back in. We have gone through the whole bathroom and we've painted all the other casings and all the trim and the base, and I wanted to give you an example of how we backtrack. You saw me do the middle of the door. This time I put the tape. This is all dry and it's looking beautiful. I lightly tack the tape along this line on this panel of the door, and instead of rolling it, I want to show you an example of how we can brush this whole panel. So I have to do this panel and this panel, and I'm not going to put the tape here. I want to show you how we can come back and cut it in. So we'll go ahead and we'll start with the door, and we'll go up on top here, and we're just going to make sure that we get enough paint on here. And we're going to work from the top down. And you'll see I'm putting paint on here. I'm getting a good amount on here. I don't want it to be dry because I can see in the light from my angle that I've got all this covered, and I'm not too worried about how it looks at this time. I just want to get the paint onto the door. And you can see this will be my breaking point right here. So I've got this handle right here, and I can go like that. Okay, and now I'm going to go like this, and I'm going to go back and forth, and I'm going to smooth all this out. Nice and soft all the way down. Okay, and then up. And I'm going to go back and forth and just make sure that all of this is laid out real nice with the brush. Everything that I've done already that's dry, you cannot see brush marks. Everything is laid down. And that's it. We just want to go back and forth. Nice and smooth. Okay, so that whole top panel is done. Then I take my rag and I catch any drip on this edge. Catch any drip on that edge. Okay, now I'm going to do the bottom half of the door. Same thing. I'm going to kind of meet right back where I just was, around that doorknob. And all I care about is getting the paint on this whole section. I don't care if it looks pretty yet. Just want to get it all covered with paint. Okay, now that it's all covered, then I come back and smooth it out and lay down those brush marks. Back and forth. Over and over, real light. Okay, take my rag, catch that edge, and this panel is done on the door. Now I'm going to take the tape off. I'm going to leave this tape on, the hinges and the doorknob, till the door is dry, a couple hours. I'm going to really slowly pull the tape off, and you can see there's our nice straight lines again. This time we did it the opposite way. Okay? Nice and slow. And that's how we do a door. This door is complete. Now we're going to do this casing. Same thing. I'm going to brush it. We don't need the roller. I'll show you. Okay. First I'm going to start on the inside. And just keep my brush right on that inside corner. Nice and smooth. Angle it in there. I go top half first and then bottom half. Okay. Okay. Then I'm going to brush this whole side. Okay. Start at the top. I don't have tape up here because I'm showing you what I can do. I can just break it right there. You can do it this way too if you don't want to tape it. Now I'm going to be painting the walls, so I don't care if I get paint on the walls. I just want to get a lot loaded up on this, up and down. And then I'll come back and smooth it all down. I want to make sure I'm getting a lot of paint on here. I don't want it to dry up. Getting it on there first, and then we'll smooth it out. Okay? All the way top to bottom. Put my angle right there. Real light and smooth, all the way down to the floor. Come back up. Move it over, all the way down. You can go up. I like to end one way, all the way down. And I'll do this a couple times to really smooth out those brush lines and even out the paint. And so we'll look on the edge and make sure there's no drip over. There's not. And then we have this edge to do right here. It's real simple. We don't want a lot of dripping coming over onto the edge here. So we'll tuck our brush into the wall. And we'll just leave most of the brush on the wall as we come down that edge. See, I keep the brush on that edge. I don't let it flop over. Okay, there you go. We'll check back in for the next step. Keep going on the bathroom. Okay, everyone, so here we are. We're all done. It's the next day. All of the trim has been coated. It's dried overnight. This, again, is the product that we used. It's Sherwin-Williams Pro Classic, and we used the satin sheen on all of the trim. You can use this product if you want to get a semi-gloss look. They have that as well. It's latex. It's easy to work with. Again, what I really like about it is it's a hard, durable finish. After about 30 days, it cures. It's dry to the touch, but it'll reach its maximum hardness in 30 days. And you can brush it, you can roll it. It's going to lay down and settle real nicely. So we are in the process of taking you to the next step. And I just want you to see how nice, if you come over onto this casing here, get a close-up of that. You can see the shine in the light and how that finish ended up looking, and it's laid down real nice. No brush marks or roller marks, and a nice sheen. So we're going to take you now to the next step, part 2 of painting a bathroom from start to finish. Thank you.